The Dragon Reborn. It's the title of the third book. I think it's also the title of a chapter. Either way, looking forward to this one. I predict there's going to be some major changes from the book. Primarily due to the trailers that we've seen and the fact that this meeting between Moraine and the other Aes Sedai doesn't really occur in the book, so there's going to be some major changes there. I have no idea what else is going to happen in the rest of the episode. Perrin and Egwene are probably going to spend some time with the Tinkers. Rand and Matt are gonna... Oh yeah, I can see what they're gonna do. I'll leave that for the spoiler part. Let's get on with it. This episode has more to offer than the last episode. Much more. All three major storylines had something interesting to tell. But let's start with that introduction. Okay, that was a good introduction. I like that. Logain seems to be a popular character in the books. I never really cared one way or the other, to be honest. But the cold open for this episode was wonderfully done. It shows the madness of saidin, the male half of the One Power, but also showed that Logain is not an evil person. He really believes he is doing good. Alvaro Morte was fantastic in his portrayal, and though he doesn't have many more lines after the titles, his presence looms over the episode. The vast majority of this episode is completely different from the books, and I'm okay with that. This particular change is something that I can understand. It allows us to see firsthand the dangers of male channelers and the zealousness of the Dragonsworn. In the books, male channelers are often talked about, but they're not really seen. This lends them an almost mythological status. This works in the books, but we wouldn't have time for that kind of setup in a show like this. In addition to this, we get a couple of introductions to the concept of the Argers, but it all seems natural as to why the characters would talk about it in that moment. The Green Arger have been preparing for the last battle, and with the possibility of the real dragon being reborn, there is a reason for one of the characters to explain why they chose it, while also telling the audience what it means. This is not forced exposition. The writers are feeding us information as and when we need it, rather than dumping it all the info at once. I found myself enjoying Lan and Nynaeve's chemistry in this episode. Considering their pairing, as well as many others, seem to feel sudden in the book. I like that they have much more screen time together. And that scene where Lan interprets the old tongue for Nynaeve was just fantastic. Rand and Matt don't get a lot of screen time in this episode, but I love Matt for the little time he is on screen. However, I will talk about this later, as most of it will be spoiler filled. Perrin and Egwene's story improves from the last episode, only in that we get to spend some time with the Tinkers, and I am so happy that the Way of the Leaf got some screen time. This is one of the few fictional philosophies I have identified with. It is the reason I wrote this in Alison's Defeat, and I really did this in the UK census. So when Ela says there's only one way to end violence, everybody, everywhere has to stop. This resonated with me, as it is something that I try to live by. It is extreme pacifism, but the writers treated it with respect rather than derision, and I am very thankful for that. So let's get into the spoilers. You have been warned. I can't keep it in any longer. This happened. Oh, that was awesome. In the books, Nynaeve is one of the most powerful channelers in the world, and she definitely showed it here, healing a bunch of people from near death in an instant without even breaking a sweat. Just imagine what she could do once she is trained. It is a beautiful scene, and it is Nynaeve to a T. In the book, she feels anger whenever someone is hurt, injured or sick, and it is this that gives her power, and this scene definitely helps you to understand that. Furthermore, this is a great example of showing many things at once. An Aes Sedai died, and her warder goes into a berserker rage, showing us how warders often react to the death of their Aes Sedai. This then leads into a demonstration of Loghain's power, which leads to him injuring other people, which then leads to Nynaeve showing off her true skills. We have at least 3 things being shown to us because of one event. This is efficient storytelling at its best. Finally, I need to talk about Matt. Throughout this episode, you get a feeling that all is not well with him. So when Rand finds him surrounded by the dead family, I absolutely believe that he killed them, until he pointed at the Fade. Again, this is efficient storytelling, as we were told that the Fade had been called in the previous episode and was likely on their tail. Now we see the outcome of that. Tom did fight Fade in the book, so I was expecting this, but due to the changes so far, I did not see this coming at this point. Now, I really like how they are leaning into the mystery of who the Dragon Reborn is. In the books, the answer to this question is painfully obvious to the reader. But here we have hints that any one of the characters could be the dragon, from Tom suggesting that Matt can channel, to Rand breaking down a door that could hold 3 strong men, to Nynaeve's frankly awesome display of power. With this episode, I feel that the show is in safe hands, and I really hope it continues for many more seasons to come, because if the show remains as well written as it has been, then we have some fantastic treats to come. I got no words. Okay, yeah, so the entire episode was still pretty good. Virtually none of that happened in the books. There was Tom's fight with the Myrtle. That happened. And Egwene dancing with Alan. And the whole Tinker thing, pretty much. But virtually none of that happened in the books. But it was pretty darn good. And Nynaeve at the end. Just if this is indicative of what's to come in the future, I can't wait for their big moments, because their big moments haven't happened yet. I do really like how they are delving into the mystery of who the Dragon Reborn is, and there's a possibility it could be Matt. There's a possibility it could even be Loghain. Could be Rand, and at the end it could be Nynaeve. God, that scene was awesome. That was Nynaeve to a T. That was brilliant. I loved it. I think it's the best episode yet. Possibly. I don't know. I got to think about that. But it's a possibility.